Hello and welcome to this show, and we will start of course by talking about the stock markets which are flat. Well, that's Neil Mills out there indicating vicious price cutting in the aviation sector, which could have a hugely detrimental impact on growth going ahead. We will get you the detailed interview. I've rarely seen a more candid CEO talk about the state of affairs and the flagging off of concerns which are quite deep as far as the aviation sector is concerned. But that will have to wait. Kiran Mazumdar, Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, joins us from Bangalore. Kiran, thanks so much for joining us. We heard into your press conference minutes back where you clarified why the sales and profit figures have been a tad below expectations. I think the estimates were much higher, even though pretty much all analysts had taken off the income of Axi Corp. But you said that a lot of this was because of the lumpiness in the license fee that you would be getting. Take us through what analysts can then look forward to. How is this going to be spaced out?
Well, there are kind of two types of licensing. One is, of course, strategic licensing, which again will see spikes when these licensing deals happen. And then there is licensing income recognition with respect to our partnered programs. And this specifically relates to, Pfizer in a very large way, and of course, Mylan to a smaller extent. Here what we do is we do recognize licensing income linked to development and regulatory timelines. And what you are seeing this quarter is really a recognition of licensing income which is as per plan, but I think market estimates have expected to see larger licensing income. And as you will note from our numbers this quarter, we have recognized 14 crores of licensing income versus 21 crores of licensing income recognized last year for the same quarter, and a much larger number recognized in the last quarter. So there is going to be lumpiness, and I think what we would like to share with you at this point is that this number will ramp up. Just to give you an example, last year the number did vacillate between 21 to 77 crores, and you can expect similar kind of lumpiness this year as well.
This is the lower end of that lumpiness, Kiran, now because you said 21 to 77 crores. So for analysts or investors looking forward, because you always price in a forward kind of outlook on a stock, what would the ballpark figure be, or is it too early to say that?
Ballpark is very difficult for me to comment on, but certainly you are going to see much larger numbers than what you've seen this quarter, largely because there are development timelines which we can certainly control because they are internally controllable. But when you're dependent on regulatory timelines, these are very much dependent upon regulatory permissions and approvals. So I can't really give you an exact number, but I can indicate that this number will ramp up in the coming quarters.
Okay. Let's look at the operating metrics now, Kiran. As far as margins are concerned, you did mention in your press conference that Axi Corp was an entity which actually pulled down margins, so it was a bigger volume play. How are the core margins across businesses looking right now?
I think they're looking very healthy. I think you can clearly see that margins have improved from the 21% levels to the 29% levels, and I think we're very pleased with these margin numbers. We certainly see good margin contribution from our services businesses and across all the other manufacturing businesses that we address. API businesses, of course, depends on which sector you look at, might have lower margins, but they get compensated by our branded formulations businesses and some of our high margin API businesses, like for example the fidaxomicin supplies to Optima.
Sure. As far as your cost metrics go, Kiran, one thing that stands out is the fact that your employee costs have gone up, and that perhaps is also something, is it a Q1 kind of a phenomenon, a possible wage hike, or is it something that is going to be recurring for you?
Well, as you know, industry is really, challenged with rising salary costs and personnel costs, and I don't think any company can really say that they are immune to these factors. So I would say that yes, we are going to see increasing salary costs, and it's not just this quarter, you're going to see it across all quarters. Having said that, obviously we expect our businesses to generate growth to compensate for these rising costs.
Okay. Let's go to the other area apart from licensing that the analyst community was watching very closely, and that's your contract research side. Can you share with us some details of that, Kiran? What's the pipeline, or what can we expect from Biocon in the future over there?
Well, when you talk about contract research, you're really referring to Syngene and Clinigene, and this has seen a dramatic turnaround. I think you can see from last year's numbers, we've shown a 21% growth in top line. From a PAT point of view, from almost a nil PAT last year, you're seeing a 10 crore contribution to PAT numbers from our research services businesses. We are very, very pleased with the way we are gaining traction on all our businesses in this particular segment. Syngene is certainly making good strides, and so is now Clinigene at an inflection point where we are signing up a number of contracts, and we hope to deliver on these contracts. As you know, there have been recent delays from the regulatory agencies which did not allow us to see some of these opportunities translate into business. But going forward, I think we should expect Clinigene to really support Syngene's growth in a very good way.
You also referred to, of course, value unlocking, Kiran. That's something that we have spoken about in the past of a possible IPO. Yeah. What kind of timelines and what kind of stability would you watch out for before actually going in for an IPO?
As I mentioned, I think we would like to see some sustainable growth at least over 3 to 4 quarters, and then we will basically start the IPO process. So we remain committed to taking our research services businesses to the market, hopefully in the next 18 months or so. Okay.
As things stand right now, Kiran, what's going to be the biggest challenge for you going ahead? Because you've seen a lot of important structural changes within. You've also seen a lot of partnerships come forth. What are the 2-3 critical areas that you're watching out for, or you're planning ahead to?
Well, I think the kind of partnerships we are getting into calls for a very structured management organogram, which is what we are really sort of putting into place. We are making significant progress in this area. We are also going to be looking at how we beef up on our clinical capabilities, because many of our programs are now either entering the clinic or already in the clinic, and these are big substantial sort of investment needs. We are going to be investing in clinical development, and therefore our R&D costs are going to ramp up. So we do need to make sure that we watch all these investments and make sure that we address all the kind of risks, both financial and otherwise, to make sure that we meet timelines in terms of market entry. I think that's really the challenge for us. And other than that, I think we are also very excited with the kind of partnering discussions that we have just started engaging in terms of our novel assets, because I think that's another huge unlocking potential for Biocon, and we will endeavor to see how we can fructify some of these novel assets like oral insulin and anti-CD6, the monoclonal antibody program that we have, hopefully during the current fiscal.
Right. What is the upside for something around insulin right now, Kiran, if you're looking at a partnership, if you're looking at some kind of development there, because that's been the big potential everybody's been speaking about?
Yeah, but I really don't think I can share much data with you at this point in time. I mean, it's there are various kinds of estimates and various kind of forecasts being made by the market, and I'd rather not comment on those numbers at this point in time. As soon as we are clearer about how potential partners see these opportunities, we will be very pleased to share these kind of forecasts or estimates with you.
Okay, last question, Kiran. I know you've got a whole lineup of interviews out there, but my last question to you is that analysts are a little concerned about the frequent changes in the kind of P&L accounting. You know, this time you've taken Axicorp off. What would you tell them at this stage? Because I don't think the stock is reacting per se to the fundamentals, but rather the disappointment because the analyst community had put out a figure. What would you say to them?
Well, as I said, I think divesting Axicorp has been pretty well received by the market. I don't think that should really be a cause for concern. I think it's just that I needed to clarify on how we are recognizing licensing income. I think I fully understand that the analysts had factored in much larger licensing income because perhaps we didn't really explain how we were going to recognize licensing income, and I hope as clarity evolves, analysts and markets will get used to this particular licensing aspect. And I think it's extremely important for the markets and for analysts to view licensing on an annualized basis. I think we have repeatedly tried to get the markets to look at licensing not on a quarterly basis but as an annualized kind of number. It's something that I think we will have to keep emphasizing on.
Right.
Nothing to, really, I don't think there are any concerns. I think we will end the year on a very strong performance.
Right, Kiran. Thanks so much for joining us and clarifying on that. That's Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon. We'll head straight to L&T Finance Holding and the press conference that they are having and the detailing of the IPO plan. We head into a short break now, but up next, we get you an excerpt of a conversation with the Petronet LNG CEO and an exclusive on Oil India. That's coming up for you in just a minute.